And just like that,
Hey,
here we are.
Happy
What's up,
KOTG
everyone?
Tuesday.
Hey, I was on mute. Oh man, that was sweet,
Wow.
man. Smooth.
Smooth transition.
I love it. Like and
Yeah,
share.
buddy.
Like and share. Tell your friends.
Wow, what do you guys think, man? Look at us.
A little
all
different this
fancy
week.
and stuff over here.
What happened? We look badass. Like we actually been doing this for 100 episodes.
Right? About time.
Yeah, how about it?
Shout out to Zach. Zach spent his hard earned time figuring all this out to up the stream for you guys. So let's show Zach some love and hit that like button if you guys like what you're seeing.
Heck yeah, look at that. We got Drunk Long Guy.
Getting extra
Hey.
shout.
Beautiful face right at the bottom.
Yep. Shout out to Justin for getting on and actually helping you figure some of this out.
Yeah, we had a few test runs checking it out. I think each time everybody was pretty excited about what options we have and some different things we can do much easier now. This is like way more geared towards what we're trying to do than Zoom was. So no.
Oh goodness. See, this is great. This is gonna be a whole other thing.
We see who has the best comment gets put on the screen, right?
He's off to college now.
Went to
It only
college.
took
to
us.
figure
It only
this
took
out.
us 100 episodes. So
Only 100 episodes. Don't worry about it.
we said make sure everyone was on for the ride for 100 episodes before we took it to the next notch.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah. So this is episode 102,
102. Shoot.
season 3, episode 2. Keep off the grass. What do you say? We all grab a glass and keep off the grass.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a nice crack.
yeah, what is that?
I was dang.
That was a Guinness crack.
Ooh.
Guinness.
Ooh. Guinness cracks hit different.
That was deep.
It's
We got
amazing.
a new guy coming in clutch with the amazing beer cracks.
I saved it for you too. Yep.
Sweet. Well,
That
hi,
might be the-
Jack. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me. I feel honored to be sitting here in the inaugural run of this new platform. This is great.
Yeah, you got to watch us before the show, just ooh and ah about the different features.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is way cool though.
So, Olee, who do we have on joining us tonight?
This is Jack Higgins from EarthWorks for Home.
Right
Been
on.
speaking with Jack for a couple years, and this is I'm gonna have to go find my bottle of Blanton's because I've been trying to get this accomplished for a while, and it's finally done. He's
You're
a
right,
hard
bud.
fella
This is
to lock in.
Yeah, this was a long time coming.
Yeah, we talked with Jack at GIE when it was GIE.
Yeah, that's right. That was 2 years
Nah.
ago.
Yeah, in 21, and we were telling him to come on. So now we finally got it done.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you being patient and I appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
So it said that you're an agronomist.
That's
Yeah,
right.
who are you?
Tell
Who
us
are
a
you?
little bit about that.
All right, yeah, I'll fill you in on who I am, what I do. Yes, I'm an agronomist with EarthWorks for Home, and of course EarthWorks, which is where I've been working for the last 14 years or so. And I've been in this turf and ornamental industry for a couple years before that. Essentially, ever since I started working, I've been earning my money in the grass world. And I went to school for this. I graduated from Penn State in 2007. I got a turf grass of science bachelor's, and I've been at it ever since. I started greenkeeping, but I kind of quickly came over to work for EarthWorks. Like I said, about 3 years out of college, and I haven't looked back. So I travel certainly up and down the East Coast, and I help guys, particularly on the professional side, at least to this point in my career, with soil tests and organic fertilizer. That's what EarthWorks does. We kind of we have a system called biological soil management, and we marry the two together. We we make sure that the soil is in good balance and is can provide a good environment.
He's muted.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it says his mic's not connected. There it goes.
You back
Hey,
on?
yo.
There we go. We lost you.
All good.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that I was saying, what we do is biological soil management. We marry together the soil and the plant, and we aid it along by encouraging soil biology to do a lot of the work with us in growing turf and shrubbery and nice plants. So that's what EarthWorks for Home really, the goal of EarthWorks for Home is to bring this knowledge that EarthWorks as a company has been doing this in the golf and sports and lawn care world since the late 80s. So we want to bring this to the DIY enthusiast and kind of share this knowledge into the world of people that want to take care of their homes, and both their lawns and their gardens. So it was certainly a pandemic idea, and it's been hard, but a lot of fun, and I'm very really now like on the brink of, this is really our kind of first season that we're coming into. And it's exciting. Yeah, I want to work with everyone, and kind of show what we do for the homeowner.
So on the homeowner side, you guys had been offering soil testing services for a while. Is that right? And then now the kind of EarthWorks for Home, fertilizer, soil kind of amendment options are out. Is that kind of are you kind of transition to say, hey, we got this expertise. Now we can help kind of guide you and provide some fertilizer that might help you?
Right. I mean, really, actually, for the homeowner side, everything is just kind of starting right now, both the soil test and the fertilizer.
Okay.
On the professional side, we're an established business that have really been working with the top locales around the country as far as places that take care of turf. I'm talking, a lot of golf, a lot of sports. We're all U.S. Open golf courses, all top places around the country, and professional sports teams. But it's not really just those upper tier. We work with everything. We work for people that whose job it is to maintain a beautiful landscape. We assist, and have been, since the late 80s. But go ahead, Olee.
I guess the way to look at it is, it's about like, I don't know exactly what year I met you, but I can remember when I first got I got a pallet of 343 and a pallet of 822.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little tough to get, and I remember, hitting you up and talking to you, and I'm like, we need to put this in more people's hands. It needs to be easier to get. And I guess a way to look at it is that's another reason for EarthWorks for Home. It's easier for the homeowner to get their hands on your products.
Absolutely. That's the that's the focus. And so it is a direct to consumer e-commerce business model, in addition to accessibility in garden centers. But if you have the internet, you have the ability to get this product. Mm-hmm. So that's, and really, you mentioned the 822. That is really our lead lawn granular fertilizer. That's the analysis that we go with. And I can get a lot into what we do as a fertilizer company and kind of how it works. But, I'd rather start with why we're doing it and why we want to bring this offering to people like yourselves, enthusiasts, and that is that we want to make lawn care and taking care of your gardens fun and easy and effective, you know, with relative low input. We want you to see great results. And that's something that we've been expertise at in the, you know, in the professional turf world for a long time. So that's my passion's really sharing that, you know, and so that's what EarthWorks, that's really the mission of EarthWorks for Home, is to show everybody and give everybody easy access, like Olee said, to be able to do this and see great results. So that's really the focus here, you know, and there's a goal in keeping things simple. That's what we want to do. We don't have, right, at least as of right now, we don't have a whole slew of offerings, but we have dialed in about 4 or 5, 6 with the soil test, really good, solid products that you will see response from right away, whether you're treating your lawns or your ornamentals or you're growing a vegetable garden, you know, and hopefully all of that. That's what we want to do.
You got to grow some vegetables and stuff, because when they see your good looking yard and you go, oh, you're killing the bees and you're doing nothing for the world, you can go, hey man, I'm growing my cucumbers, my squash, my zucchini.
Oh,
my
absolutely.
Tomatoes. 333 have blown the roots out of the pots.
Yeah, we call it a pollinator oasis. You don't want to have a pollinator oasis, or you need to have a pollinator oasis, rather. You don't want to have a pollinator desert, in that, like, no flowers around. You need something for the bees and the pollinators to fly to. But yeah, I'd like to get into everything, but I'd rather start with kind of history as to how I got hooked up with you guys, particularly through Olee. I mean, like Olee said, he kind of, I guess, Olee, you found EarthWorks just through your kind of enthusiasm.
Just digging, yeah. And the first orders I placed come out of Virginia, which was really crazy, because I ordered a pallet of 822 and a pallet of 343, and I asked the guys, like, so what's it cost to have this delivered? And he's like, our delivery fee is $35. I was like, send it.
Let's go.
So once I got that, you know, I was just digging, and you know, the whole thing I was after was, I had bought this field beside my house. It's a 1 acre field. It was nothing but dandelions and trash. Stripped it, got it level, got it seeded. It did not like the first summer at all. And my whole goal was to catch that field up with the pre-existing 2 acres. Oh no, yeah, the pre-existing 2 acres of turf. And that's when I started contacting you.
That's right.
And, started bugging the piss out of you is really the way to put it. But
is this the field right here?
That's the field. I think that was the first summer, and you can see an absolute property line straight down through there.
Of course.
Of what's pre-existing. You know, the soil was starting to change. And, you know, when I bought this acre, my first goals was to go to a chicken farm and buy a bunch of chicken litter and have them come out with a truck and till it in. And it didn't pan out. That's why I started searching, and I come up with the composted chicken granulized fertilizer. And then that also changed a lot. Like, I wanted a top dresser. I wanted to, you know, do all this crazy stuff. Well, you can actually use the 333 as a starter or as a top dressing without having to have any expensive equipment. You got a push spreader, you can top dress.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, so we do organic fertilizer. We call it composted fertilizer because it is composted. It's a chicken manure compost. Egg layer birds that are their hens for laying eggs. Well, we take the manure, which it happens to be super mineral rich and just an awesome organic source because it is easy, accessible energy for soil microbes. You know, we're talking single cell little microbes and that comprise the soil biology that need that carbon energy and need it quick. They can't, you know, there's other organic products out there. You all know Milorganite, you know, and other sludge based products like that that don't really provide, they're an organic product, but don't really provide a very accessible organic because of their manufacturing, their processing. They're heated up, they're pasteurized.
I'm gonna say, is it because of the superheating? Yeah,
that's exactly right. So essentially burns out all the energy. It's like throwing a steak on the grill for 3 hours and coming back and trying to eat it. You know, so what you're after isn't there anymore. It does carry, becomes a carrier for some amount of nutrition, a little bit of fertility, but its organic value is not all that high. So what we do is compost this manure down and make it a real stable product, and then we add some synthetic fertilizer to it, like the EarthWorks for Home lawn fertilizer is an 822 with a little bit of ammonium sulfate. That's what Olee's used. Olee's used both the granular products. Olee's used all 4 of the products, so both the liquid products as well. But so it is. It gives a nice kick, but it provides this really accessible energy for these single cell soil microbes to really get that energy as well, and they work symbiotically with the plant to grow. You know, that's the way the whole system works. So it's really kind of part of the secret as to what's going on and makes it so effective, and really to how we are able to get a big response with a low input. You know, our recommended rates really only put out about a third to a half pound of nitrogen, and most of you know from fertilizer rates that it's really common to kind of start with 1 pound of N. We're after using less because we're working it from both sides. We've got that soil side going, and that's how you kind of get that sustainable and lasting response that doesn't really have much of it has no steep valley. Like, you know, you don't get the peaks and valleys of response. You get a nice steady feed out of the fertilizer. So and of course, what we all do as growers, what's really special about what we do, and that Olee got to work firsthand, and I'm sure you a lot of you guys have got to do firsthand, is we build topsoil. You know, what we're really doing is, like, we're the stewards of this great magical process between the plant and the soil microbes, that we can take garbage fill soil, whether it was really from a fill pit or whatever, junk soil with very little value, and through that cool process of the plant establishing roots and growing and drawing carbon dioxide and minerals and pumping them through the plant and out the plant roots, and then how that marries with the soil biology and builds a humus. And really, it's building, and humus is synonymous with topsoil. It's building a topsoil, and that's kind of what Olee was talking about, trying to catch up that neglected field with the existing lawn. And really, grass does this better than just about any plant. Grass is very special at doing this. So,
so what does the product itself? So the bag of like 822, is it dry and granularized, or what's the consistency of that product?
Great question.
It is homogenized also.
There you go, homogenized. Yeah,
Okay.
it is
So you could do just like a normal spreader, like any other fertilizer. Essentially, you just set it at
Any other
whatever-
fertilizer spreader.
Okay.
It is a granulated fertilizer that's basically a prill size of around 150 to 200 SGN and throws really nicely. So yeah, again, talking about it as a composted, an organic, a this or that. It is all those things, yet it's accessible and easy to use that it throws from your rotary spreader, no problem.
Absolutely no dust.
Yeah, that's the other cool thing. Yeah, it's not a dusty product. It's there. However, the product does have a scent, you know, and I'll be first and
I
foremost.
figured as much.
You don't say.
Chicken chunks and manures and
That's right.
Throwing a little chicken chunk on your yard. You know, why? Of course.
I've actually grown to like it.
There
You know,
you go.
when I hit the
That sounds
3
about right.
acres,
He likes it.
yeah. When I hit the 3 acres with it and we get a nice little rain, I get texts from the neighbors say, I know what
Uh-huh. Well,
'Cause you
you
know
get
what
the
it is.
rain and it is, yeah, you get the rain and really the smell goes away. Like a little bit of a little bit of water knocks that smell gone. So even dew in the morning, you know, you're not really smelling it the next day. But yeah, the product, it smells different than a sludge. It smells more like a farm than it does like a sewage plant. I'll say that, you know. So it's, but anyway, it is.
Does it have any risk of, like, you know, I guess avian pathogens or anything? Like, so we talked about Milorganite, how they superheated. That's to kind of kill off any pathogens that were from the
100%.
you know, the feces in Milwaukee's water. So, but then this is like similar to that, just comes from chickens, but it's not superheated. Is there any issues with that at all?
We have to meet a temperature requirement to be able to sell this product, and that happens in the composting process.
Okay.
But it is much lower than what happens in like the pasteurized process. And really the difference there is time.
Okay.
The whole
like
thing,
sous vide instead of grilling it.
there you go. Like sous vide it composts for a year. So like basically you have to keep it in a compost pile for a lot longer at the lower temperature for it to break down. Pasteurization, you can pump it through the oven and kick it out, you know, and to be able to process. So however, yes, it meets all the standards for moving the product.
Does it have iron in it?
In fact, it has the compost itself. We've run analysis down to the parts per million, parts per trillion. It knocks about 70 different elements off the periodic chart. So yes, it does have iron in it. However, we don't add iron to it.
Okay.
It's not something that we're adding to it.
That's a new super chat tune.
Sorry about that. Continue.
That's a heavy song.
Yeah, you start talking about iron long enough, you're going to hear some heavy rock.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's more like a mixture of like micronutrients and like trace elements, more so than iron at 2.5%. It's kind of a micronutrient.
That's right. When you're dealing with an organic, you're getting to some extent you're getting nature's soup, you know. So it's more of lower degrees of everything than more focused on any one.
Okay.
However, in the nutrient realm, you know, it is an 822. So, we do add that ammonium sulfate to bump the nitrogen up a little bit. It being a chicken manure, being an egg layer chicken manure, these birds are fed a lot of minerals, especially calcium. So for those strong eggs. So the manure, actually, the 822 is roughly a 1-to-1 ratio of nitrogen to calcium. So it's about a 7% calcium in the 822. Very cool.
Thank you, Justin.
Calcium.
But another thing to think about is you know, most people want iron for color.
Yeah.
And iron does make a good color, but ammonium sulfate makes an amazing color.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do for color. I mean, it's the color is a chlorophyll response. Like, so if you're getting your lawn pumping, if you're getting your grass pumping, you're gonna get good color. Yeah, there's more fertility stuff to talk about too. Like, of course, plants suck in carbon dioxide and push out oxygen. You know, the soil microbes, the way the soil works is that the soil is breathing in oxygen and kicking out carbon dioxide. So there are two cycles that work in conjunction with each other because they're opposite. So as you're getting an active soil biology, that biology is pushing out more carbon dioxide out of the soil, and the plant is able to suck it up right away. So you get this, you from a good active soil, you get a great amount of fertility in a number of different ways.
Awesome.
You're jamming in the chat.
So, hey,
I gotta say that I have to say is that comment, Jack, about you looking like Dave Portnoy is spot on. It is spot on.
I didn't see the Portnoy comment.
Oh, you guys look like twin brothers.
All right,
let's get
everyone
this one out of the way here. Thanks, Lucky Green. Who we got? You got someone else too?
Papa with
Oh,
10.
everybody's jumping in.
Oh
Oh man, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
You're gonna have to make that music a little bit shorter.
Well, while we're at it,
Just keep it rolling.
but hey, I got a question though. So, with the organic and the carbon you were discussing, does that stuff is that only effective at a certain time of the year, like when there's heat, or like you recommend applying that only when there's warm weather?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that is a bit of a paradox with organics. That especially if your experience is with more of that sludge-based organic, like the analogy with the steak on the grill, it does take an enormous amount of heat and energy to be able to get through that char. But this composted source is more digestible, you know, with less biological activity or less temperature. So really, in cool season grass, you start seeing response out of this stuff. It was safe to say lower 40s soil temperature. You see this compost kicking.
So would the warmer it is, would the release be quicker?
Does the release curve change? It does, I guess, is the easy answer to say that, probably, you know, but of course everything's growing more in the sun, you know, the plant is growing more, like everything's growing more. So yes, it's taking in more fertility, as opposed to the bookends of the year where growth really slows down. I guess my question here is, at least of the six of you guys, you got cool season growers, warm season growers, a little both?
We're all cool season nowadays.
Oh,
Yep.
Cool cats.
where does everyone live?
I'm in New Jersey.
Okay, Jersey. So
Utah.
and
Missouri.
okay, is it mainly tall fescue for everybody?
For the most
We
part.
got some bluegrass.
Bluegrass, rye.
I'm trying to mix more into
Midwest
blend
mix.
it up.
Yeah.
Anybody seed fine fescue?
Mm.
I've been throwing a lot of fine fescue around in the last year or two. I've got kind of like a hillside under some trees that I'm like reestablishing, and I've let the fine fescue grow up and get all wispy and everything.
Oh, that probably looks
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, as I get better, I'll share pictures.
No,
Yes.
fine
so-
fescue looks good. I've seen some nice looking fine fescue. I just have patches in my fescue and rye that makes it look bad. The patches do, but it's just
Right.
main stuff. So
So I saw that Yardhard had a question in the chat. He wanted to know, in high spring rainfall areas, how or when would you apply to time the nitrogen release with the rain to avoid leaching?
Okay. So if you're getting a lot of rain and is leaching a concern, how do you avoid that sort of situation? That's the gist of it. I would say that there's a number of benefits that you have going for you, being that I assume this is on a lawn, right? This is on grass.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
He's got
okay.
a pretty sexy yard.
All right. So you're growing a cover crop. You're growing a filter that inhibits any real leaching, certainly inhibits the material from directly running into the waterway via running through water channels. That is really the only concern that I think you should have with this sort of material is product actually getting into water. Other than that, you're really safe from leaching because it's not a salt fertilizer. It's not a fertilizer that you drop in water. Although it does break down very effectively because of this composting, it's not broken down to the point that it's not going to be grabbed and held up within the soil, and within like kind of the thatch layer, the soil, the rhizosphere. It's not like a say ammonium nitrate or a straight ammonium sulfate prill that will go soluble and then flow with the water. This organic kind of matches up and gets held up by that rhizosphere. So that being said, if leaching is a concern, then you really only have to be worried about actual product getting into water.
So yours is less likely to leach because the nitrogen component that you've added is kind of embedded within that carbon compost, and so that's got to dissolve, or the bug's got to kind of break it apart or release it. So that's kind of how it becomes more slow release in a sense.
That's right. And as those bugs are breaking it apart, or it's weathering in that way, it's becoming metabolized and held in within the exchange capacity of that soil, whether that exchange capacity is the cation exchange capacity in clay, or the exchange capacity within the humus, or actually becomes part of actual soil microbes that the plant is then grabbing nutrient off the back of those microbes for its uptake. But
so if
yes,
you're in the springtime, let's say, and the temperatures are warm enough, it's wet enough, maybe in that scenario where you have good kind of conditions for that grass to really pop. If you put the fertilizer down, say you put this down, the 822, how soon before you would see that green up or maybe robust growth from that? And then, when would you want to do your next application? Like, how long does it feed the grass until you'd be ready for some more? Like, would you?
Okay, great.
June?
Yeah, good question. I would say that, say you're putting down this first application, you're in the Mid-Atlantic, say you're doing it around April 1st. You're going to see response from that within the first week or so of application, and you'll see that response last for at least two months, good 8 weeks or so. Now that kind of puts you then at this time of year where the plant is pushing seed head. It kind of pushes you into seed head season, where the plant is expending an enormous amount of energy into making seed. That's really its physiological purpose, and so it is using everything it's got to do that. It's a great time during the middle of that season to then be out with a second application, because we're just coming into summer, where weather and use is going to start to diminish the plant. By use, I mean you just being out there on your lawn.
Yeah.
That you're gonna, so that you need to bolster it. So middle May, end of May, Memorial Day time, it's a good time to be back out. I've only really gotten to talk about the 822. It sounds like we have, which is cool. I mean, the 822 is going to be a foundational product for.
That's the one that caught my interest, and then Olee said he got some pretty good results with it. But yeah, you guys have the 333. He said too.
That's right. I mean, and that was the 333 was and that is what we call the EarthWorks for Home, the EarthWorks for Home Garden Granular. And we named it for the gardens because of course we're encouraging its use in gardens, because it works with mycorrhizae spores. So that's the addition in that fertilizer is mycorrhizae, which are a symbiotic fungal root zone fungus, a symbiotic root zone fungus. So basically, it is like a cotton candy network of hyphae that attach themselves to the plant roots, but extend out further into the soil. And then as they extend out further into the soil, they also attach themselves to other plants. So your fescue, up near the curb can be networked with your fescue back, towards the walkway. Like that's the way that the forest works. There's a whole bunch of cool work that you can read and watch about mycorrhizae, particularly the Netflix special Fantastic Fungi. Has everyone seen that with Paul Stamets and everything?
I'll have to check it out.
Oh, it's excellent. So but this is mycorrhizae fungi is the way that plants are networked with each other and also extend their outreach into the soil for mining nutrients and moisture. And particularly, they are the key symbiotic relationship that the plant has for accessing phosphorus, because phosphate is a tricky nutrient for the plant to uptake. It's not a cation like a lot of the other nutrients we talk about. It's an anion, and it gets tied up, and it takes biological activity to get it. But it's a key nutrient. It's part of the photosynthesis process. ATP. When you're learning about photosynthesis, amino triphosphate. That is the real way that the plant moves that energy that it creates during photosynthesis, that glucose energy. It's the way it moves it around the plant. So phosphorus is incredibly important. The garden fertilizer is the compost and these mycorrhizae spores, because it's really an establishment fertilizer. It's a biological starter fertilizer. And that's a great way to think about it in the garden as you're planting annuals or shrubs or planting your vegetables. But it's also a great way to think about it even for establishing turf, whether that's sod or from seed or sprigs or anything like that. Aeration key. Well, you want soil contact with that product, ideally. And so aeration is a great way of getting it into an established turf stand, because you want to get that soil contact. And this whole process that I was talking about of the hyphae and the network and mycorrhizae doing their work, this supercharges that kind of magic that I was saying about building a topsoil. It is the biological kind of power that really can build humus quickly, because because some of the byproducts or some of what Mycorrhizae produces, it's a particular thing called glomalin, but it's a very stable exudate from the Mycorrhizae that really helps the soil stay friable, maintain moisture, all the stuff that it needs to have to get through the most difficult parts of the growing year.
So if you have like soil that's high in phosphorus, I think we've talked about before about how some of that's inaccessible.
Yes.
Would this mycorrhiza help improve your soil
Absolutely.
conditions?
Great question. It is the phosphorus miner, MINER. It goes to work mining phosphorus out of the ground, and all that inaccessible phosphorus that is often tied up with a cation. Like I said, the phosphate's an anion, so it's got that negative charge. It connects with the cation, the positive charge. They're hard to break apart, plain and simple. Like calcium phosphate is the key part of our bones and teeth. And you come across skeleton in the deer skeleton in the woods or something, it doesn't break apart, and so that's what Mycorrhizae does, like you're saying, it and that's what you would need to kind of, if we're reading the soil test and seeing a whole lot of phosphorus, but also a whole lot of calcium, we're like, okay, this phosphorus is tied up, and we need to mine it out.
That's pretty cool. I know people have had issues like that before and talked about, you want, like that's, I think that the ProPete's fossil product, right, is supposed to be giving you the phosphorus that's accessible or in a form that's more usable. So even if you have phosphorus in you may not actually have it that you could actually utilize, but this could help mitigate that. Yeah.
Now, as far as the soil test, I've watched YouTube videos of some super popular people, and they pull these soil probes and they take and they beat them up and they dry them out and they clean them and they sift them. My opinion, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going out here, I'm going to pull the soil samples. I'm going to try to walk an X in that area, randomly pulling stuff, stir it all up. But I'm not going to dry it. I'm not going to sift it. I'm paying for a soil test. I'm putting it in a bag. It's going away, and then I'm going to get results. I'm not going to.
Oh, absolutely.
Do home processing it.
Yeah. A, you don't have to do that work, and B, that could screw up the sample, because you could, as your sifting process could take away the top inch of soil, and that's the most fertile. That could be the most fertile part. So it just would skew the results.
The lab has what they need to test the soil. They have dryers, grinders. They have what they need.
They do.
It's not like you walk in the Waffle House with your own eggs and waffles. You paying, you get service.
That's right, man.
Yeah, I took mine to the extension office, and we just had it in a Ziploc bag and dumped it in a little box. We didn't do anything to it. Just literally with the grass, sticking out of the plugs and all.
Yep.
So,
as it should be, definitely. That is the way.
That makes it easier.
Yeah. It shouldn't be hard. I mean, this might be a good chance to pull up Olee's soil test that he just ran.
So you guys do soil testing, and then along with that, you kind of bring your analysis and maybe make some recommendations. It'd be kind of cool to see what your guys' soil tests look like.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. And yes, that is exactly what we do. The soil test, I can walk through it the way that we look at it, but we're really looking for anything that would limit growth, because we're trying to use the soil test to build the appropriate environment for everything to take off.
Man, that screen looks professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a really nice look here. So, all right. This is the way. This is one of the 3 sheets that you would get as results of our soil tests, and this is kind of the most visual of them, really showing the key aspects of what we're looking at to see on your soil test. Starting with this box, soil compaction. So That is three graphs. The first calcium, magnesium, and the last potassium. All showing, what should be where we're at as far as the ideal, and we work those ideals as ratios to each other. So we take those key cations that are calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium, and the sodium is there below as contaminants, and we have ideals as to the amount of saturation that they should have of the cation exchange. So based off of those numbers, which are 68% calcium, 12% magnesium, 5% potassium, and as little as possible, really like 1-2% sodium, we then can kind of show you visually what we're looking at. And really, Olee's soil test, in as far as those balances of base saturation cations are in really good balance. You'll see on the contaminant side that the sodium is upwards in the high, maybe not all the way over, but it's above 50 pounds per acre, which is high. We'd like to see that go down. Now, I expect it to go down. Part of looking at soil tests in the wintertime here, particularly the most soluble of those nutrients like sodium, there's not a lot of movement right now. There's not a lot of percolation and leaching, like we were talking about before, leaching through. That sodium is a great example of a salt. I remember the question came up is like, is the 822 going to leach through? That the 822 is not. However, sodium chloride is. Sodium is. So in the winter, everything's kind of frozen. And if it's not frozen, it's close to frozen. It's not exactly. It's not like there's a lot of moisture running through the profile. There's no evaporating out of the profile. We're not watering. And also the plant is not really uptaking a lot of nutrient. So anyway, I'd expect that sodium to go down.
Where did this sodium come from?
Well, it often comes from water.
Could be the rain itself, yeah.
Yeah, it really comes from irrigation water. Like Olee, you irrigate with city water or a well?
Yeah. Yes, sir. And we had a test done one time. I'd have to find it.
City water, it's always going to have most water is going to have some amount of salt concentration, and often that salt concentration is sodium based. It's not all sodium based, but but much of it is often sodium based. So that's really where it comes from, and it's nothing to be too alarmed about that it's there, like I said, because you also are very close you're very much at the ideals of those counteracting cations, the calcium, the magnesium, the potassium. Moving over to the other side, you see you're right dead on. Well, not that sheet, but just the other side of this sheet. Yeah, you're right dead on the phosphorus level. You have the further down the bioavailability, which we talk about organic matter, holding capacity, and pH. Start with the pH because that's kind of easy to understand and see that you're really right at a close to ideal mark of the slightly acidic, slightly less than 7, 6.7, 6.3 is ideal. You're very much in that range. The holding capacity in organic matter, this is of course from the field, right? The field that you've been establishing over the last.
So that's the CECs are a 4.38.
That's right.
So that has moved up in a couple years. I mean, it's took a couple years, but originally when I started, that was like barely a 4. I mean, barely. It's like 380 or something.
Okay, great. Or do you remember what the organic matter was at first?
No, I can look and see if I got an old test I could look at. I
was looking for your old test and I couldn't find it, but so organic matter down at 2.5%. What the goal should be, and this is kind of part to where I was at the top here, is that we're trying to build topsoil, and we're trying to make it so that you get great response with less input, and input being fertility, being moist water, irrigation, being any kind of pesticide. So part of that, or a huge part of that, the part of that is humifying the soil, which a easy way to say that is building topsoil, and that's what that organic matter measures.
Well, the color of it from the get-go has changed. I mean, it has changed in color. It's darkened up. I mean, I can definitely see a difference when I dig a hole or pull a plug. I can definitely, or pull a soil sample, I can see a difference.
Great.
And then as far as it making it through summer is night and day. Like when we first started talking, that field was super patchy. And looking at it from the road, it looked okay, because you were just looking at what you could see. But looking at it from the sky, and I always catch hell about my drone shots, but a drone does not lie for bald spots.
No, and I remember you talking to me about that, it's, the word is stand density, right? Like it was thin. You didn't have a good stand density. And that's something that we really focused on building. And the way of building that, the way of all of this working is growing healthier plants, because healthier plants beget healthy soil, begets healthier plants. And when you have that stand density, you're not evaporating as much moisture out of the ground, so you're not losing water out of the ground. You don't have the voids in space for weeds to come in, or even disease. Really, disease will play a factor in that too. You don't have that sort of parched earth.
So what would you say? Go ahead.
I was going to say, so what do we do about that? How do we bump up those CECs and organic matter? How do we get
Okay, yeah. Well, so he's in the process of doing that, and the answer to the simple answer to that question is that you need to grow. You grow more. You grow more, and the plant is pushing out exudates and working at building this topsoil. But like Olee says, maybe the graph doesn't exactly show the progress that he's already seen, because the soil test only goes so far. A lot of it has to be visual and has to be how the turf is performing, in terms of marking your success. And like Olee, you mentioned, like you're seeing that soil go from what was a red clay subsoil to darker humus.
Well, see where I'm, and that's funny, because where I'm at right here at home, it's low CECs. It's really gritty. It's almost a tan. I don't have red clay right here.
Oh, okay.
But I go 5 miles to my shop. I'm saying just straight 5 mile shot. And that over there is like a 10 to 11 on the CECs. And it's just red, brick building clay. So this crazy right here where I'm at now, like when I first bought this place, I was like, man, this soil here sucks. It's terrible. It's gritty. The CECs are low, but I've sort of learned to work with that, and I've actually like it. Like, in other words, as far as the inputs, but as time goes on, they come in here when they built this house, they stripped it, they got rid of all the topsoil, they got rid of all the good stuff. And that's the reason I dreamed of like top dressing. I wanted a big top dresser. I wanted to do all this composting. But as I learned, that's super expensive. It's a whole lot easier to buy a bag of 343 or 82. With all y'all products, you're getting the compost. All the products are based off the compost.
That's right.
So as I was spreading that with my Permagreen or my push spreader, I had no use for a top dresser anymore. So there's no sense in owning a top dresser and trying to source, some type of compost that I could sling. So this is a whole lot easier to actually compost with. But what I've noticed is from like 2019 to now, that field is amazing. It's thick. And, you get above it 200, 300, 400 foot and take a picture. There's no bald spots. That right there, that was older. That was before I covered the rocks up. That's older. I think you got a recent one. That's recent.
There you go.
You look you see how thick that field is now. I mean, it's insane. And my whole goal, like when we first started talking, was I wanted that 1 acre to match the 2 acres.
That's right.
I wanted to jump ahead. Y'all have a saying, and I'm trying to think what y'all saying is with the 101 product.
Balance the chemistry, feed the soil.
No, it's basically where you're trying to make up time. Like you're trying to.
Right. Yeah. You can accomplish in 1 week, or in 1 day amending what it would take like a couple of seasons to mineralize that soil. So go after it in the construction. That's a talk when we're talking construction of golf greens and sports fields and stuff like that. But I mean, the same applies. Like, and that was if you and I had talked at seeding, it would maybe the recommendations would have been slightly different, but we made up for that with aerifications and getting the 333, the garden product, in via the aerifications. That was the focus there. So we hit it from both sides. We hit it from that with that garden product to really establish and to get some establishment down below, hit the roots, but then over the top with the lawn product, the 822. You also only used now because EarthWorks for Home has liquid offerings too, has hose ends, quart hose ends.
Yes,
Can you pull it up, Brian? You get that website up?
Yes, sir. The 1425 and
that's right. Yeah.
E3.
The lawn, it's actually 1405 now, and the EarthWorks for Home liquid garden, which is a C3.
I say we give away a hose end sprayer. So
yeah, I'd like to do a case, which is two bottles.
Nice.
So
Dang.
now you also use both of these products on the field, and kind of talking programming like we were before. This would be something I would be starting maybe after that second application of the lawn product in the seed head season. As after that second application, maybe be switching to the liquids. Yeah. So we built this liquid, this lawn liquid, to really kind of bring both micronutrients in the mix, as well as a lot of carbon, and the 1405, to really help the plant build full proteins, to kind of build to build itself fully, to protect against weather, disease, use.
How many square feet do one of those cover? Do you know?
5,000 square feet. So we built everything for five. We built both the liquids and the granular for 5,000 square feet. Which of you guys, how I know Olee's got the big 3-acre monstrosity. Does everybody have that?
I got 5 in the front and 4 in the back.
Okay.
No.
How big in the front, Bill?
5 in the front. Only 4 in the back.
Careful. So the home
Yeah, that'd be
work
good.
stuff is in 25-pound bags.
That's right.
Yeah. I only have 5,000 square feet, so something like that's perfect.
Perfect.
For mine.
Perfect. Yeah, that's kind of what we were after. The liquid products work really well. You'll see both from both the garden and the granular. For both the garden and the lawn. Let's just talk about using them on turf at first. You'll see response out of each of them. So in terms of a green up, in terms of recovery, like lateral growth. So again, we're really trying to build that stand density. You'll get both green up and lateral growth out of each of them. The liquid garden product is more focused for drought tolerance in lawns, whereas the 1405 is more focused towards growth. But yeah, using the garden product on your lawn, you'd be using it more for drought tolerance, and for if you were dealing with a situation where you have real weak rooting.
So would that be something you could do? Like, so I'm in the Midwest and we get pretty hot and dry in the summertime. Would that be something to do leading into the end of May, maybe June-ish, something like that?
Exactly.
Into those months, yeah.
Perfect.
That's the one that contains my favorite ingredient too, isn't it?
What's that, Olee?
Molasses in there?
Oh yeah, molasses. Actually, there's molasses in both of them.
Okay.
That could be my entry into the molasses game.
It
Shoot.
does have molasses in it. Oh, I mean, so EarthWorks right from the start, from 1988, molasses was part of the mix. Or the two mantras for EarthWorks is carbon and diversity. We're trying to come at things from different angles. And on the liquid side, carbon sources, we have molasses, fish, kelp, a desalinated seawater, worm tea extract, humic acids, and some organic surfactants. So like that, those are kind of the carbon sources. And then on that 1405, we bring a number of different synthetic fertilizers, but a balanced array, so that we're not just seeking response from just one nutrient and knocking other nutrients out of balance. I'm bouncing over, checking out the
So we
comments.
How are we doing this giveaway?
Yeah, I don't know. I heard about like a spinning wheel. You have that?
Type in EW number 48 EarthWorks for home.
EW4H.
Yeah.
Type it in the live chat
Right now.
And right now.
First wheel spin on the new platform.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
well,
I'm waiting to see
Holy
what kind of
soundboard.
tunes.
Yeah.
No, we.
Come on now. EW4H.
there you go. There you go, Brian.
So this has been pretty cool. I'm gonna have to come back and listen to this episode again to kind of soak in more of what you said.
Now here's the thing, Pharm Dad. So when we go to the Green Expo, we'll actually get to see these fellas in person.
This is true.
And Jack is about this tall.
I am tall. Well, you can listen to it again. Also have me on again. I'd like to talk more.
Definitely. Anytime.
All right, cool. Because we're into this big time, and we want to. I want to be able to evolve what we do to fit what you guys want, and what you guys need. Like, see what the products can do for you. I really, again, the whole focus was to make this easy and accessible, and to see something right away. And
see, so some of these guys that have gardens, they definitely need to do like a 333 test on this tomato plant and their normal deal on this tomato plant.
Do the program, do the 333 in the installation, do a couple of garden liquid drenches. And the website has all this information. I make videos and we've got a really developed FAQ section and talk about how to use this stuff. And yeah, so on the garden side, like you're saying, Olee, tomato plants, you grew tomatoes and blueberries, right?
Yes, sir.
So
I got cucumbers, blueberries, jalapenos, zucchini, squash, and I definitely could see a difference on the mass of roots. Now, I've got to work on my tomato production because I either get bottom rot or split, which my understanding is low in calcium. So
okay,
I guess I need a little more of 333 or something with more calcium in the soil.
Yeah, perfect. Well, the 333, the garden, the EarthWorks for Home Garden fertilizer will bring a lot of bioavailable calcium, like we were talking about before, even more than the lawn product, because there's not the ammonium sulfate in there to buffer out calcium. It's just a compost and mycorrhizae.
Yeah, and I got to work on my tomatoes. I've done really good with everything else the last couple of years, but tomatoes, also like bell peppers, is giving me a hard time. Like I get bottom rot. We either go from being super dry to tons of rain, and those two between tomatoes and peppers seem to give me a hard time.
I want to bring up my garden game as well. It's really been a time issue more than anything else. Yeah, it takes a lot of time to take care of it, right? You got to be on top of it all the time.
But the 333, which is labeled or advertised as garden fertilizer, is a phenomenal starter fertilizer.
Bingo, dude. It is the biological starter fertilizer.
And Olee, you're saying that's what you initially used over in the field?
No, initially
or something else.
No, initially when I done the field, I planted it with just your normal 18, 24, 12, and had a decent, but it did not. That soil where it was so bad, it needed help, and it was so spotty. Mm-hmm. And basically, like I say, what I was wanting to do was build the soil. And originally, I was looking into like going to a chicken house and getting green, which it would be green. It wouldn't be composted, and it would be full of weeds and probably everything else, where this is not. So that's when I started learning about EarthWorks. Mm-hmm. So my first purchase was a pallet of 822 and then 343 that does not have the mycorrhizae. So the next time I had the 333 with the mycorrhizae.
Gotcha.
So when I done my aeration and seeding, that's when I used that 333 to get it in the soil to try to start that fungi.
Right. So the 333, that's the one that you were talking about, that you use the garden when you were referencing garden fertilizer. That's what you were.
That's right.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. That's right.
All right.
And Brent, you look legit with that setup.
Yeah, Brent.
Yeah. We all look legit tonight. What are you kidding me?
Man, the two screens.
Yeah. Well, I got, this one's running everything, and then I got the live chat over here so I can respond to everybody.
Yeah, I didn't realize we couldn't chat we could see everybody's chat within this software, but I can't respond, so I have to be on a separate device still.
Yeah.
But it is cool to see it up on the laptop.
Yeah, no, this is great. It's great.
I really appreciate you guys having me. I mean, we got to see the website. If you're, for the listeners, like we're saying, we've got a lot of content on there.
What's the turnaround time if wanted to order a soil test kit? You get it, send it off. How long to get your analysis back?
The analysis would take roughly a week.
Okay.
It's really it's really about like 3 days to get there, maybe, and about 3 days in the lab.
Sweet. Okay.
And it's really, it's real slick the way it comes. You buy it, It's sent to your door. You have what you need there except for a trowel or a soil probe. You have all your directions. And then when you have the bag filled, you even have an envelope to put it in to shoot it back.
Yeah.
So it's all contained.
That's
and,
right.
and it's very quick and easy as long as you have the right address in there.
Oh, well, it sounds like somebody put the wrong address on.
I think that was. Oh yeah, that was. Yeah.
Learned that one the hard way, did you?
Yeah. So then we were like struggling, and luckily everything worked out, and we had it to look at this evening. But if it can be screwed up, I can do it.
Yeah, and then we didn't really get to go over the written recommendations, but there are written recommendations that talk a lot about kind of what I was going over.
We can check those out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Pull it up, man.
Pull it up. Pick them up. It talks about what I was going over, but then also gets pretty practical about what to use and how to use it.
So basically what you're offering in your soil test is you are offering the ease of a lot of the other, I guess, soil tests that are out there that are aimed or marketed towards homeowners, like the ease of use, where like everything comes,
right,
stick it in there, ship it back, prepaid label, send you results, but it's a higher quality test, or I should say a different kind of test, because this is a Melic 3 test, you said?
Melic 3 is the extraction agent. And it's really, I think the difference is in how we present it and what we're prioritizing. You know, what we're looking for and what we're prioritizing.
Mm-hmm.
And
what are a lot of the other ones that are out there that's a different kind of test, which is escaping me now? We've talked about it in past episodes.
Soil Savvy, isn't that one of them?
Yeah, but what is the like methodology of the test?
Not a Melic 3. It's maybe there's Bray, there's Olson. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I can't remember what.
So you're saying that the one that the test that Load Lab runs, it's a more accurate test, or it gives you a better picture of what's going on?
Yeah, and I think it's about what we highlight as what to prioritize, you know, in terms of what are you going to do with the data. You know, we're not looking at the soil test as the sole source of fertility for the plant. You know, because you're going to work with a fertilizer program and you're going to be putting stuff down there. But what we do look at the soil for is a proper environment for rooting, you know, and for rooting, we need space. Like, for example, you know, we label that section compaction. If we see some imbalances there, like maybe magnesium very high, we'll know that it's very tight and it doesn't have that porosity and ability to space for roots to happen and for gas exchange to happen. And we'll talk about that, you know, and we'll talk about that in the recommendations. So, you know, what the example that we pulled up, it didn't happen to have that issue, but that's.
Can you pull that up, Zach? The picture of the
that's right. There it is.
Description.
So yeah, right there, the magnesium bar,
go.
And so here's the recommendations. We kind of keep it based on those sections: soil compaction, contaminants. So here we say in contaminants, sodium is high. Apply 10 pounds per 1,000 of gypsum. Apply the EW4H liquid fertilizer for your garden in the summer, in addition to consistent applications of the EW4H lawn program to help buffer the sodium away from the plant roots. So we talked about an extra gypsum application in that because, because particularly the sodium.
Or something? What's the gypsum doing? Does it have chloride, or what's the gypsum doing?
Gypsum is a calcium sulfate, and really, it's throwing calcium's a strong cation, so it can trump and push the weaker cations off the soil colloid, and i.e. gypsum, or i.e. sodium rather. So it can push the sodium. The calcium can push sodium out of the rhizosphere. That's the idea.
Cool.
And Yeah. So really also that's the that's part calcium is a major constituent of the compost. So it's part of what's helping things along. It talks about the organic matter that we're trying to increase, and Olee, brought up that. And like I said, you need to visually inspect this soil as well to get a good assessment as to how it's working. Like Olee said, over time he saw that this soil was darkening, this sandy soil, and despite it being relatively sandy, we're building the CECs to be higher by building topsoil.
So we should have, what we should do? We should have like a turf grass program, like bowl game, where we have Jack on, and like some of the other people that we've had on. Like we should have like Kevin Runstrom, who went to Rutgers. Like we should have like Kevin and Jack battle it out, like which program's the best.
Great.
That might be a good idea for a future episode.
I know Kevin.
Yeah, he's my boy.
That would be cool.
Good dude. But something like that, where you're like, all right, we're gonna pit the turf grass programs against each other,
crossfire style.
Yeah, crossfire style.
Oh my gosh,
that compaction now makes more sense to me. Like when I posted something this morning, several people was like, how are they, comparing that to compaction, like far as mechanical aeration? Now it makes more sense, because when I first done a bunch of lime here, right, I used the Dometic, which had more, is it magnesium?
That's right, magnesium.
So I had my calcium to magnesium ratio all jacked up.
Right.
So in that 20,000 square foot behind my house, I had a really hard time getting turf to take off. And if it did not rain, you could not take a soil sample. I mean, it was tight. So started doing gypsum, and then the 343 back there. And over time, I've seen that change. So now that makes more sense to me, as far as, what is it, like a 6-to-1 ratio? Is that
roughly 7-to-1, 6-to-1, 68% calcium, 12% magnesium.
Yeah, that makes more sense now why that is labeled compaction.
There you go, bro. You got it. Yeah,
and you've taught me a shit ton over the years. I mean, a lot. And
it's been fun. It's been fun. You don't nudge me, man. We get to talk, and
I mean, I've went from a total grease monkey wrench turner to somebody who can actually grow some turf.
You grow great turf, bro. You're a good greenkeeper.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. So the big thing here is that your EarthWorks, when working with EarthWorks for Home, you're working with a group of people that are incredibly passionate about this process and have had the experience of working with the top professionals in the turf world for the last 35 years. It's what we do day in and day out for a long time, and really using this stuff. You're using the exact same stuff that they use on the PGA Tour. On the divisional Saturday this past weekend, we work with both of those stadiums. So you're using the same stuff that is used across the country by the top professionals in the turf world.
Let's give some away. Shoot.
Yeah.
Brian, where are we with our wheel of names? Let's try this out.
All the people.
The build-up.
So, Zach, I think you're going to play the music, right? Let me see.
Is it rolling already?
Okay. So here we go. We got 27 names on here. I'm going to shuffle it 3 times. And then what's good for it? How's that look?
That looks good, man. Yeah. This is so awesome. Oh, lawn freedom. Right on.
Lawn freedom.
Barely.
You are the new winner of 2 quarts of the EarthWorks for Home liquid lawn fertilizer.
Nice. Thanks for giving something away. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to. So we'll have to get we'll get Mr. Lawn Freedom his stuff via he'll go onto the website with a special coupon code and put that in at checkout, and it'll zero it out for him.
What's the code?
Can't tell you that. That will be for him to know.
To know.
One-time use.
One-time use code.
Oh, great.
That's sick. Guys, are we doing do we have a lawn of the week this week?
We don't.
We don't, right? There's a whole lot of
to share real quick before we go. Oh, here we go.
We had a couple guys using the hashtag, but they're both already. I think they're both already 2-time winners, and it's kind of like, I don't know if this is the time we want to.
Yeah,
there's not enough competition out there to pick the 3rd-time winner. So
yeah, you're not wrong on that one.
Things will ramp up as we get spring.
Yeah, and everybody's got crazy weather going on right now.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's like every other day we got some crazy storm rolling across the country. So I mean, we got bad weather. We got winter time. Yeah. All right, we're right around the corner, fellas.
We'll hit it hard in the spring.
Yeah, right around the corner.
We're having a new type of guest on again that we've never had before, and we are going to be talking about some robotic lawnmowers from Rogio Robotic Lawnmowers. I think it's the only 4-wheel drive robotic lawnmower on the market.
Thing's got duals on the back.
Yeah, it does.
It's like the Batmobile of robotic lawnmowers. Oh, look at that thing!
Robot.
It's
got a grill.
It's like a Mercedes lawnmower or something.
Like a 1952 model.
Yeah, it looks like a PT Cruiser.
Looks like a Bugatti.
I could put one of those to use in the backyard. I don't like.
They are from Italy, I think, originally.
Of course.
That looks pretty sweet. That'll be interesting to talk to them about. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think.
Look at that. That thing
that'll be an interesting episode.
Okay, that dog is obviously photoshopped. I mean, look at that. Do you think that's? Oh no. Okay, it was just blurry.
We'll ask him next week.
Yeah, Bill, great job at hyping up this episode.
Hey, guys, listen, we were checking out your website last week, and what about?
I guess the dog looks like he's there.
I don't know. I think it's real.
Yeah,
I think so. I think it is. Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
So yeah, that would be a.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, trying new things out. Have some new guests. Try something out. I like it. I like it a lot. This was a lot of fun. This was a good. I mean, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this multiple times to even try to catch half of what Jack was saying. So,
well,
Jack, thank you for joining us.
You got it, guys. Have me back. We'll go over different stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. Whenever you're ready to come back on, I think you're, every time that we have somebody that has like an established knowledge base, and anybody time that we have somebody on who's, kind of like a true turf grass scientist who really like went to school for it, who gets it, who understands it, they can talk to science. Those episodes always do very well. And people are always asking to have them back on.
All right. Great. Thank you. Well, I really appreciate everyone's interest. You can get on and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to put out content on the regular. We've got a newsletter, and we didn't really get to talk at all about the affiliate program, but we're establishing an affiliate program for EarthWorks for Home for anybody that wants to make a little bit of scratch, sharing what they do with the products at their place.
Sweet.
All right.
Part 2 next week.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys.
Stick around, Jack, for the after show.
Okay.
You got another game?
Tickle the balls.